session. Motion. We got a motion to go out second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. We are in executive session. I'll entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
Motion to come out of executive session.
Second. We got a second. We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. With that, I'll certify the executive session. Whereas the Tazewell Town Council has convened an executive session on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas 2.1-344.1 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this council that such executive session was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved, the Tazewell Town Council hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, one, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the executive session to which this certification resolution applies, and two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the executive session were heard, discussed, or considered by the Tazewell Town Council. We'll do a roll call vote. Councilmember Takish?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Fox?
Aye.
Councilmember Klein? Aye. Councilmember Wilkes?
Aye.
All right, with that, we have certified the executive session, and we will pause for 1 minute until we start the regular session. And with that, we'll call the regular session to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pastor Nate, could you give us an invocation, please?
Sure thing. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you so much that we have the privilege, the freedom to gather publicly to conduct business. We thank you for those who are serving willingly and boldly. We thank you for those who attend. We ask you to bless this meeting with the right spirit of unity, that as decisions are made, they be the right decisions, that personal egos are set to the side, and that what's right for the greater good is chased. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please be seated. All right. So first thing on our agenda is special recognitions, and I'm going to hand it over to Manager Regan to do the recognition of Glenn Gillig and Edward Hill from the Town of Tazewell Public Works.
So I did invite both employees to be here this evening, but they did not want to come and be recognized. But I thought it was important to kind of let everybody know that sometimes your day-to-day operation of your job, a little act of kindness can go a long way. So actually, it was Councilmember King who informed me of this little story. There was this elderly lady who was on the transit bus, and she got off the bus and had several bags in her hand. And our employees seen that the bus pulled off. The employees seen this, that she was needing help across the street. So they turned their lights on, and they got out and helped this lady over across the street with her bags. They didn't have to do that. It wasn't in their job duties to do that, but sometimes little acts of kindness make the big difference. So just a little appreciation to those guys.
And we definitely appreciate that. And with that, we actually have some certificates of recognition for them. Even if they don't want to be here, they're going to be recognized. They're going to have that, and they can hang on to that. And I'll hand this over to you, that way you can give it to them. And even though they're not here, they're going to get a round of applause from us. Next, we have a very special recognition for Miss Irma Mitchell, Tazewell County Fair Coordinator. We just completed the fair again, and we have a presentation for you for excellence in community service as the Tazewell County Fair Coordinator. If you don't mind, could you come up and tell us a little bit about the fair? I'm bad with numbers of years that things have happened, so there's a running joke on that one. Just right up here.
Well, we had a great fair. You know, the weather was good, the people mostly was good. It was a great fair. We probably took in more cash on Saturday night than we have ever. I tried to check back to see what we had done, and it bypassed everything I could find out. But anyway, the fair was good. The carnival was small, but carnivals are a dying breed. You know, there's two big ones and you can't get them, and everybody else is small. Well, we have R&D amusement, and we got them when they first started. So they made enough to buy a Ferris wheel this year. So every year they plan on trying to add to their goodies. So eventually we hope there'll be a big fair, and they will stay with us because they like being here. They come from West Virginia down to here, and they like being here. But we had a great night. I guess we had 5,500 people on Saturday night. We appreciate the town being lenient with the parking and everything. They were parked every which way and on the road they shouldn't have been on. But anyway, everything went smooth. The fair went smooth. I'm old, so I'm getting out. This is my last year. It will go on until October when we have our annual volunteer dinner. That's when my final days will be over. But I appreciate you all recognizing me. You didn't have to, because it takes a ton of people to make the fair go round. You know, just one. It takes tons of volunteers, just tons of people. You wouldn't realize it till you actually get in it, just how many people it takes to make the fair run. And we appreciate the town. The town's always been good to the Tascana Fair. And we hope that they'll continue to do it because it's people like you all. And like up at Bluefield, Virginia, they donate to the fair. And I never have to ask them. It's in the budget. So that might be something you all do that people know, or maybe already do. Okay, great. But I just call them and they do it, and then they send their people down to put up a tent for us. And there's people back on Monday to take it down. So, you know, so many people make the fair go down. And we appreciate you all for letting it happen in our town. And Mr. Ab Perry is wonderful to let us park. I don't know what we would do if we didn't have his idea on parking. And they parked right almost up to his house this year. And so we appreciate that. And appreciate you recognizing me. You didn't have to do this.
How many years has the fair been going on?
Well, we are 154 years old. We're the longest running fair in Tascana, in the state. Yeah, we're 154 years old.
How many years have you been involved in the fair?
20, 30, I don't know, a long time.
So there's a reason you're getting recognized.
I was involved one time, and then I quit and left, and then they ran out of money, and so we folks got together and decided we're going to try to make this work. So I'm leaving there. We're going to have some money when I leave in the bank, and so things is good.
We appreciate that. If you don't mind, come here in the middle. And we'll...
Now I understand why them guys didn't want to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have a local business recognition. This month, we are going to recognize Altizer McGraw and French PLLC. I see here that you guys have been providing professional legal services to the community since 1904. Is that correct?
A little longer than that.
Oh, okay.
Dave's been here for all of that too.
I don't look it.
Mr. Altizer, if you don't mind, come forward. Tell us
Yes,
3 minutes.
we're probably one of the 4 oldest businesses continually on Main Street. We have, yours, what, 35?
1931.
31. Joe Bowen goes back to early 1900s, if you look at the National Bank, was Farmer Bank of Clinch Valley, which goes right after 1900, I think. And we go back early 1900s, late 1800s. And apparently we're a dying breed because nobody else is here. I hope we're not indicative of the business community in Tazewell.
Well, we have something for the 3 partners, and Ms. Irma, I actually have a present for you too that I forgot to get. I'm gonna get entrusted with you 3 mags for each of the partners,
Well, thank you.
and we'd like to recognize you, and I
Thank you very
apologize.
much.
What year should it be? It's not 1904, you said it was before that?
Well, if you go back to the original Reaver in Gillespie, it was probably 1888.
Wow, very impressive. If you don't mind, can we come over here in the center, try to get everybody in the picture?
If they can risk it.
Thank you. Miss Irma, I apologize. Right. Next on the agenda, we have a couple special presentations and requests. First one is the U.S. Martial Arts Team and Tazewell Taekwondo support request. KC8, please come up.
My name is Casey Adair. I run the local martial arts dojo, actually right next door to the sheriff's office, the 350 School Street Old Junior High Gym. We've been here since 2005, before the old junior high gym was renovated. We were actually originally through the recreation department with my old instructor. I took the dojo over when I was just 16 years old in 2010, so this August would be 16 years of me running the school here. I'm a 6th-degree black belt and also a member of the U.S. Martial Arts Team. I was scouted in April and recruited and tried out, and we go to Daytona, Florida in October. I'm respectfully asking the town council to consider me as a sponsorship for Daytona, Florida as I compete in this international tournament. The support would help cover my tournament entry fee, but more importantly, it would help represent our community of Tazewell on the international stage. Personally, I'm proud to carry the name of this hometown in any competition I go to, but especially on a world stage this big. It proves that, athletes from this small town community can compete with the best in the world while also continuing to give back through the kids that I teach and mentor at Oakland Taekwondo Self-Defense. I personally believe the sponsorship would be an investment that reaches far beyond just the competition. The growth of my personal local dojo team, Team Oakland LLC, has many young competitors, and ever since I got scouted in April, I have a couple more joining in. What I received through coaching from Sensei Mike French in Knoxville, Tennessee, who is the head coach of the region for this part of the nation, I also pass down to my kids as well. Just this past July, 2 children came on to my competition team, and they competed in a state tournament in Martinsville, Tennessee. Through the coaching that I received back each month and the last Friday or last Saturday every month, we were able to pull 2 state champions. And these kids were, I think, 13 and 16 years old. And this is just from the coaching that I received and then passed down along to them. These are examples of when kids are given encouragement, opportunity, and someone to look up to. By supporting me, the town council will be supporting not only my journey, but also my young martial artists who are watching the journey and learning that their own goals are achievable through hard work and success. If the sponsorship were to happen, I would be deeply grateful for the consideration and the support of the town. I'm asking you all to stand behind me as I take the next step of my martial arts competition level and compete at the world level on a national team. With your sponsorship, I can travel to Florida, compete for another international championship, return home with new experiences and knowledge that I can continue passing on to my kids, their families, and the community as well. I hope the town council will join me in this journey and invest in a local athlete, an instructor, and a mentor who is committed to putting our community and the next generation of kids and martial artists on the world stage. Thank you.
I'll open the floor. Anybody have any comments or questions?
I got a question on the, to get to the national level like that, that's no small feat. Did you have to compete in other competitions in order to get there?
It is so hard. So the best I can explain it is sort of like baseball. You know how you have like local teams like Princeton, West Virginia, and all that. You have teams there, and that's what my team is like team out of one. It's taken me 6 years to get to this, or 16 years to get to this national team level. And then you have, like again, the least part of it is martial arts, but the Facebook reels where you have like, I think there's a team called the Bananas or something,
right,
and they're like dancing and all that. That's the national team level. And of course you have like Team Paul Mitchell and Team Century Martial Arts. They're sort of like Major League Baseball level, but they compete in with me as well. So I have their competition level along with my national team in the same time. So it's taken me 16 years. I've competed at world tournaments, I've had world championships, and even then, it's so hard to even get through just at this level. So I got scouted, thankfully, in April. So.
And then after this competition goes well, you say you could go international?
Well, there's two tournaments in this. The whole entry fee level is a total of $384 from what I remember. There's the International Martial Arts Festival, and then there's like the U.S. Team Invitational, so that part's on Sunday. The International Martial Arts Festival, the U.S. team decided to actually compete last minute, which they told me last minute, which is great. So now it's the world stage to prepare for. So not only do I have Thursday, Friday, Saturday to compete, I also have the Invitational where it's sort of like state versus state. After doing all that for 3 days and then competing just within our own circle. And then after this, usually every tournament I go to, I'll wear my team uniform, and then my kids will wear like their dojo team uniform. And back every tournament I go to, I represent my team. And then next year, it won't be in Daytona, Florida. They're thinking about taking it overseas back in Europe again. Last year they went to Norway. So.
How many's on your team?
It's hard to say. I know in my region, this region, there's about 20 on my side of the national team, but this expands all the way through to every state. So I just know personally the ones I train with on the last Saturday of every month, there's about 20. There's like hundreds on the team.
I'd like to make a comment if that's okay. So Casey and her team performed at Main Street Moments. I would not want to go up against any of them. Casey's performance was so intense. I mean, she should be very proud of herself and her team.
Thank you so much.
So
I appreciate that.
thank you for performing for us up there.
Thank you.
As you grow,
Yes.
and your dojo grows, correct?
Yes.
So, could you say like you're bringing people to Tazewell?
Oh, most
for this?
definitely.
Okay.
Most definitely. That's why,
Great.
with my class right now, I know with inflation and everything, I keep my tuition at a very low rate just for the community itself at $35 a month.
Wow.
So like the more kids grow, with the tournament team, demonstrations, the more we have an opportunity to keep kids off the streets. Even like I'm a multi-systemic therapist by day, martial artist by night, so to speak. So I mean, technically I'm trying to like not bring them into as my clientele. I'm trying to bring them in to teach them discipline, courtesy, respect, and life skills.
How many's going with you?
Right now, with me, it's just one. But there's 20 on my team personally.
How many's in your dojo?
35. There's 35 kids on my dojo, in my dojo.
So when you meet weekly at the old junior high, it's 35.
Between 20 and 35, some are, everyone has to go to Dollywood. But it's around 35. Especially when kids start back, I know on hand right now from the messages I've been getting on my Facebook page, with my Taekwondo dojo, I have 3 more kids starting this Friday. So usually about every month I get about 5 new kids, and they stick with it.
And just to clarify with your support request form, that's for you personally to go compete?
Yes, sir.
Right. All right. And you requested, your request was for $300?
Yes, sir, that was the max of this.
All right. $300, because that's in the recommendation for one person.
I'll make a motion, $300 for you.
Okay.
You teach these kids here.
Okay.
So,
I've got a motion and a second to donate $300 for Ms. Adair to go compete at the world
Yes, sir.
competition. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, I'm sorry, roll call vote. We're going to do roll call votes moving forward. I think I've already missed that on one. With that, Councilmember Tackett.
aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Fox.
Aye.
Councilmember Klein. Aye. Councilmember Willis.
Aye.
All right, motion carries.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You.
Good
Good
luck.
luck.
Thank you so much.
All this is going to be boo-boo, starting over. All right, next on the agenda is the Wayland Foundation support request. Alexis White.
Good evening. My name is Alexis White. I created the Wayland Foundation. My husband and I suffered from miscarriage in September of last year. If it wasn't for a nonprofit organization like the one I've created out of Buffalo, New York, we would have never been able to afford to bring our son home. Sharing our experience with the community, I found out just how many people in our town alone, not the county, have went through the same loss, whether it be miscarriage, SIDS, any kind of death of a child. I'm coming to you guys tonight. We have our first benefit. It's a poker run. It's going to be on the 29th of August. Asking for donation or sponsorship for us so that way we can get on our feet. We already have some expenses already from the accountant services that we've had to have. And we still have expenses that need to be purchased in order for our event to become a success, to be able to fully have it. I did not put a specific amount on the form. I'm new to all of this.
Correct.
So anything that you would be able to donate, I would greatly appreciate it. One of my board members and I had talked and asked if the board would see it for maybe $1,000 because we have so much in expenses already, and so that way it would leave us with a good foundation to get started with.
Where is your poker run set to travel?
We are starting at the Wayfair. Registration will be from 9 to 10:45. I'll be giving a meeting speech at 10:45, and then cake stands will be up at 11. We will be going through Clear Fork, Rocky Gap, down East River Mountains, stopping at Mitchell Stadium, and then going to Clark Davidson. They have agreed to give food at the end of July, along with some door prizes and 50/50 raffle.
Great. Do you have, are signups already out for the?
Flyers are out, yes.
Do you have a number of, estimated number so far?
I do not. We wanted to set up like a website where people could do pre-registration, but we weren't able to do that in time. I have heard a lot of feedback from the community stating that they've seen our flyers out and that they do plan on coming, but I have no estimated count at this time.
With that, I'll open the floor for any discussion or questions. Entertain any motion.
The how do folks contact you? I'm trying to understand the services, right? So and I'm sorry for your loss on last year. And how do folks contact you all, or how do you get notified to provide these families with assistance?
So as of right now, I do just currently have a Facebook page. As we get the finances, I'm going to open the website. I'm reaching out to local funeral homes and hospitals possibly, and seeing if they will put out business cards and information. We're also planning on doing a lot of pop-ups in the community, and I don't want to do it just for the town of Tazewell, but Southwest Virginia, anyone really. To be able to do, my mission is to do it as personal and as close and be as involved with the community and anyone that has to go through us with our services as possible. So the more I can do face-to-face instead of, I'm not opposed to doing digital. We live in a world of technology. That will be something that, we do for sure. Honestly, I didn't know about the one in Buffalo, New York. It was a friend who had unfortunately went through the same experience who reached out to me and told me about them. I had friends and family members that had went through the same thing. So my goal is to have things set up, like I said, hospitals, funeral homes, anything like that, and also just anything in the community. It's a great question, because I didn't know where to begin, and I never knew that even existed. But I'm blessed, and I know that's kind of crazy to say, but I'm blessed to know that now. If I have to reach out to news anchors and try to get it out that way, I really don't care what I have to do. I feel like this is, it's really dear to me, because I think and I firmly believe that other than the gift of salvation, if the Lord blesses you with a child, it's the greatest blessing you could ever receive. And to know that, I'm sorry, they're just disposed in a medical bag. That just doesn't sit right with me. That's a child of God. And they are loved from the very beginning. And I'm open to all ideas. I'm open to all involvement to where how we can get the word out there. But right now, we are seriously just trying to get up on our feet to even get to that long stretch of being able to do so.
I do have one question. I know you said you're new and it's got nonprofit. Do you have your 501c3?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Just want to
I
clarify
actually
that.
have the letter with me too, if you need to see.
No. Any other discussion?
Did you, so for your, and I wrote down poker run. It sounds like a bike
Yeah.
run.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I'm not either. I ain't ready.
No trouble there. I was hoping to play some Texas Hold'em, but.
Well, you're more than welcome to come and we're going to give, hey, you might be able to win some prizes, you never know.
Did you have, like any canned sponsorships, like outlined for this event? $100 gets you X.
Yes, I have a
Facebook
form actually for that,
presentation.
too, if you guys want me to grab it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, yes.
If the state's hard on bingo, I imagine they'd be pretty hard on poker.
So this is for the sponsors that we reached out to. And our accountant told me that if anyone decides to donate and doesn't receive any type of good or service in response, $75 or more, they have to sign this.
Okay. Pass it that way, we'll just switch.
Okay.
While y'all take those in, are there any other questions or discussions?
Your husband is Cody what? He's still on the fire department?
So it's not first.
No. But he was on it for how long?
Many years.
And his father was Jeff White,
Yes,
who was a police officer for the town for many years.
yes, sir.
What are you asking?
I'm
sorry?
She didn't have an amount. I mean, we have the tiered sponsorships and. Back this way. All right, with that, I'll open the floor.
So I saw that there's a gold sponsorship on there, and that's 150. I think with what we've already done tonight, I would make a motion to do 2 gold sponsorships would be $300.
I'd second that motion.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second for sponsoring 2 gold level sponsorships for a total of $300. Any discussion on that? All those, roll call vote. Thank you. Councilmember Tackett?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Fox?
Aye.
Councilmember Klein? Aye. Councilmember Willis?
Aye.
All right. Motion carries. You're welcome. We'll get really fast on that one. All right, next on the agenda is House of Taylor sponsorship request. We have,
They were on here, they're not coming. Gotcha.
So I received an email after our July meeting from the House of Taylor. House of Taylor is our local, I guess, artisan at the end of Main Street down here, or beginning of Main Street, whichever way you want to look at it. And they are going to be having a new exhibition called What We Kept. It is videos, stories, etc. of what we kept in Tazewell County. It begins August the 29th, 2026. They have asked us that we be a sponsor. They requested the story wall sponsor, which is $500. The other options that they have, a presenting partner, $1,200. Story wall sponsor, $500. Heritage partner, $250, or a legacy sponsor, $100.
Are they charging admission to view this story?
Not to my knowledge. I don't want to mislead you, but not that I understand.
So what's the event? I think we kind of missed that down on this end.
Okay, so they are going to be doing an exhibition called What We Kept. It's going to be videos, stories, etc. of what we kept in Tazewell County.
Like, through history or?
Yes.
Oh,
I think they've also asked the public for items, so those items will be on display along with artwork.
So this isn't just a one-day event, this is like what they'll be on display for the month or something like that?
That is my understanding, is how I took the email.
I think there is an opening, from what I'm reading on the sponsorship, there is an opening reception where they will have recognition. Looks like they have an event planned, but they're going to have an exhibit. All right, I'll open the floor for any discussion.
So they do have, I just point out this to Councilmember Willis, but on their application, they do have listed, not that it's a nonprofit, they do have that it's listed as a business. That's part of the reason for asking on, like, are they charging admittance for this? And they did put a date that they need the funding by August 31st. So it's not like we could, I mean, we could always tell them to come in, but we would be in the next month's meeting.
August 29th.
All right. With that, I'll entertain a motion, or we can, if there isn't a motion, we'll move forward.
motion
don't feel like there's not much room to ask questions, and I feel like we're gonna be too late to have them come back. So, with that, if we're all in agreement, we'll move forward. All right, we'll move to the next agenda item. Next on the agenda is approval of minutes for council meeting on July 14th, 2026, and the special call town council meeting on July 27th, 2026. I'll entertain any discussion or a motion for approval.
I make the motion to approve.
I second the motion.
We've got a motion and a second for approval of the minutes of the council meetings. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, we'll go to roll call, sorry. Councilmember Tagish.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Fox.
Aye.
Councilmember Klein.
Aye.
Councilmember Willis.
Aye.
All right. The motion carries. The minutes are approved. Next, we have approval of the financial statements and financial report for July 2026. The floor is open for discussion or motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I second.
We've got a motion and a second for the financial statement and financial report of July 2026. Any discussion? We'll go to a vote. Councilmember Tagish.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Fox.
Aye.
Councilmember Klein.
Aye.
Councilmember Willis.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Next on the agenda, committee and conference updates. First, we have Planning Commission Committee, Zoning, Building, and Property Maintenance Official Early.
That's too good. We met last Monday, August 3rd, at 6:15. We directed Brad to change some terminology in the definitions for family day home and family day system. We changed to home-based childcare and home-based childcare system. The other thing is the accessory dwelling units, which will be affecting all of our zones, with some stipulations on where they could have another residency on the property. That's coming up at the end of this coming fiscal year. We're just getting ahead of the curve and getting the ordinances in place for we're good.
Okay.
That's all we had that night.
Any questions or discussion?
I got a question in regards to, maybe it's River Mill, has anybody presented themselves to the planning commissions for potential Airbnb towards the Horseman's Club, North Tazewell Way?
What's her name?
April.
Someone came to Leanne
Okay.
2 weeks ago.
Probably.
Yeah.
So the new owner of the Horseman's Club did come in. She did discuss that property and said that she would be purchasing some adjoining property as well. She talked a little bit about that, but that during her meeting was not the main focus.
Okay.
She did discuss that, but there was also focus on what she could do with some of her land that is actually, the entrance would be in the town of Tazewell, but the actual land is out of the town of Tazewell. But the property that you're mentioning, we discussed water and sewer availability. Water would be available, sewer is not currently. But that.
So that part's out in the county, is that the house, I mean, the property up beside Mr. Reynolds down on Task? Okay.
Okay. The only reason, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
I just wanted to get the name down, or
April Wilson.
The only reason for bringing it up was to say if she was in need of resources or had any questions, I just want to make sure that she was routed to the right direction. So it sounds like you guys are all over it, so thank you.
Yeah, they also own the property south of that.
All right. Any other comments or questions for ZBPM official Curtin? Is that if we could get it to like a nice little acronym. All right. Next on the agenda is Tazewell Today, Nate Thomas, President of Tazewell Today.
My title's not offensive.
Yeah, it's just president.
Preach. All right.
Good evening, folks. Just a few things for Tazewell Day. We like to give these monthly updates to the council as we can. Of course, the big thing for Tazewell today, and I think a big thing for the town in July, was Main Street Moments, a 2-day festival. I'm so excited that Friday night, July 24th, we had a family night on Main Street, partnering with the library. I want to make sure I give them credit, even if Erica wasn't here. I wouldn't say that. We had a lot of people. We had a magician perform for an hour at the Altizer stage. The library and the town sponsored a phone party. The unofficial clicker from the library said close to 500. And we're guessing, now this is a guess, with adults and non-phone party goers, there had to be close to 1,000 people on Main Street. There had to be. Just counting the people who did not walk by covered in shiny foam. There had to be that many, but I don't know the exact number. We were so thankful for our community partners, from the town police, to the fire department, to Clinton Community Action Head Start. I know I'm missing some. We've already kind of talked internally that Friday night is probably going to make a comeback next summer. As a way to kick off Main Street Moments, it'll look a little different, but it's an absolute winner, at least in my opinion. Of course, the day of July 25th was a huge day. I would consider it a huge success. I don't have any estimate on numbers on Main Street, but I will tell you that being on Main Street all day, somebody's got a number.
Well, I know that my door count at the library was 600.
On Saturday?
Saturday, yes. And we were only open from 9 to 1, but our local offered event, so just, that is a number.
But that's a good It was packed.
Well, on the photos too.
Right, I mean, you can tell from photos it was packed.
Yeah.
Performers, of course, Ms. Adair with the Taekwondo Dojo, her group, had a performance, a demonstration that was amazing. We're also so thankful to have the Jubilaires Gospel Quartet, Justin Baldwin, the Pub Knockers headlining Mackenzie Phipps that Saturday evening. They were all great. Not a single complaint about the music that I've heard. There was a cruise-in the same day, the second Jackie Atkins Memorial Cruise-In, with a lot of participation. They estimate about 55 vehicles. I was too busy at the stage area to count them all, but every time I looked out, there was a car going down the street for a long time. Jackie's daughter, Christy Maggard, and her husband, Josh, they were thrilled. And we've already got it penciled it in for next summer. Might as well, if things work, you want to keep doing them.
That's right.
Reports from food vendors were by and large a really successful day. They want to come back. Multiple craft vendors have already told us they'd like to come at Christmas. The farmers market who partnered with us, they want to do it again. I don't have a financial statement on it because I'm still waiting to pay a couple of our invoices. I know I don't have to give that. I just want to let you know. Of course, Main Street Moments is not a fundraiser. It's not designed to be. It would be impossible for it to be. It is designed to promote Tazewell and Tazewell Today in the town. That happened. But I'm interested in what the final numbers are anyway. We also were very pleased to be able to do bingo at the Tazewell County Fair, August 7th. And whoever was talking about bingo a few minutes ago, it is true. If you do a bingo event without the date's license, you can get a $25,000 fine. And I don't have $25,000 laying around in my own personal pocket, or in anybody. So anyway, that went just fine. We hope to do that again next year. And of course, this past weekend, there was also a partnership with Back of the Dragon, a freedom ride for the Burton family as a fundraiser that we sponsored. I don't think there's any financial part of that. Just a little bit about what's going on with Tazewell today. I'm trying to go quickly. We've resumed committee meetings after a brief summer break. I'm going to be honest with you, without an executive director in place, we kind of made a priority list for the summer. Tazewell, Main Street Moments was the top of it. But we've resumed those meetings. As you are aware, committee meetings are open to the public. We try to remind people as such, with maybe one exception when you do an internal committee meeting about personnel. Board of Directors will meet Monday, August 17th at 6 o'clock here in Town Hall. That's also open to the public. The priority right now for Tazewell Today is to find an executive director likely 20 to 25 hours a week, with a shift in the traditional duties. We can talk about that another time. I don't want to bore you with that tonight. We want a heavier reliance on an active board of directors. No more coming to a monthly board meeting and nothing else, which we don't have many that do that. You take an active role in the organization if you're going to serve. It's easy for me to say because I'm active in the organization. And much improved community engagement, which we're already seeing, but we want our executive director to beat the drum on that. We have some outstanding grants, the SMART grant, a TAG grant, and a DIG grant that will have to be closed within the next 60 days or less. And just some paperwork and bills and reporting that has to be done on all those, and hopefully some checks to be written. We are planning to restructure our bylaws a little bit. The current Tazewell Day bylaws just need to be restructured. Just every 3 or 4 years, you know how that goes through. And Tazewell is excited for the future. I'm personally so thankful for the board that we have and our committee that works so hard, not just the board members, but the community members, on this Main Street Moments event. These are people who don't want recognition. Please don't give our names, Pastor Nate. Okay, I'm not going to, but I'll tell you privately if you want to know. These are people who want to serve. They don't want recognition, and that's what service is supposed to be about. So that is all that I have. I'm going to be brave and ask if there's any questions or complaints. And I shouldn't do that. Oh no. Yes, sir.
No, I'm just talking about the farmer's market.
Oh, yes, sir.
Do they have a Lord's Acre sale every so often?
I don't know.
They have all these soups and stuff.
I don't know their inner workings, sir. I can't speak to that. That'd be a question for Aaron Kidd at the farmer's market.
Go ahead.
For Aaron Kidd, he's kind of their contact person. I'm sorry.
They just partnered with them for the
Yes.
Main Street Homes event. They
Yes.
moved the farmer's market up.
It was a great partnership. We bought 2 signs, one for the pavilion, one for up here to direct traffic, and that's all we had to give for it to come.
I have a personal request. Make sure we have putt-putt of some kind at every event.
I will make that
I'm trying to beat my low score. No, I'm just.
Hold on, let me write this down.
I'm just kidding, but I like the Friday touch. My kids had a blast. I was able to keep them out of the foam pit, thankfully.
Nice
So
job.
I kept my car nice and dry, but they had plenty to do elsewhere, and I really appreciate it. The whole event went great.
I don't mind to share with you that I'm already trying. I've really taken a little bit of initiative that's not mine to take, but they haven't stopped me. I'm really wanting to book Kids in America, the 80s tribute band, to come next year on July 24th will be the Saturday night to close out. They're going to be a little more expensive. Today's not the day, but I think if we start promoting it now, it will fill the street and do some. Then again, that's not official, even though now it's going to be on camera, so I should have said it. Too late, I can't help it, I'm excited. Anything else I can answer for you folks?
So you did have pickleball, right?
Yes, sir. The library actually owns the portable pickleball court, and Ms. Lisa Tyson was telling me that they couldn't get people off of it the whole time it was open. Erica can probably speak more to that.
Well, we have a whole library of things that
They
people
do.
can check out from the library. We've got cornhole, we've got pickleball, all those things. But yeah, that's the one that we had to shoot teenagers off of around 9:30 on Friday night.
Did our all-star councilman come play?
It's not too late.
It's all about pickleball.
It's, the library is a vital partner to things in Tazewell. If nobody else says so, we need to be aware of it.
Very much so.
Can you, the last question, can you get the 60s, 70s beach night music in town?
Well, I don't know of any bands that do that anymore. I mean, that's a lack in my knowledge.
Yeah.
But I don't mind to explore it. And again, I'm not in charge. I have just taken charge. But we're not opposed to anything that will benefit Tazewell and benefit Tazewell Day and that Main Street designation.
I bet the Kids in America would do at least one.
We're gonna pay them some money to come, so they'll do it.
All right, we appreciate you. Any other discussion? All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
May I say something?
No,
We're from,
I didn't say that.
we
That was Brad.
you're out of order. I can't talk.
had their reunion up on Main Street, and we had 35 people up in the house and open there, Main Street.
I saw that. That's great. All right, next on the agenda is Industrial Development Economic Authority. And Councilmember, or Chairperson Spivey's not here, so I'm gonna hand that over to you.
Okay. So the IEDA did meet last Monday. They had a few items that they were kind of closing out. They discussed the comprehensive plan and said, hey, it's kind of in the hands it needs to be in now, so they're not going to discuss that anymore because their part is done, they feel. They discussed the Gateway Park. Okay, that's not the official name, but that's what we're calling it for now. So they discussed that and gave me some direction. That's actually on my list to go over, so I'll do that in just a bit. But all in all, it was a productive meeting. So I know Kara's not here to hear this, but you all really do have a great IEDA team.
We appreciate all their efforts. All right, any comment or anything from the IEDA? All right, we'll move forward to unfinished business. First, in unfinished business is capital improvements plan, auditor option, manager review. Auditor opinion, I'm sorry.
So the last couple of meetings, Councilmember Klein had brought up the capital improvement plan. At the last meeting, there was some terminology, and maybe it's just a term of the literal word of what you were trying to convey to me and I was trying to convey to you. So we reached out to our auditors, Jessica did, and creating a capital improvement fund that we house money in, there's certain avenues that we have to do it. So the auditor did say that if we did it that way, we would have to make one for the general fund, one for the sewer fund, one for the water fund. And you only can move money to those funds through its big brother account. Okay, so the auditor said that he would recommend having capital projects in budget line items in each of the funds. And we kind of do that now with their capital expense department, which is laid out in each of those funds. So he suggested a creation of an investment or savings account for future capital improvement needs. We can budget it out in the budget, then we can move it into a savings account. So I don't know if you guys know this exactly, but we kind of do that now. When we started talking about the Route 460 account, the project, and the wastewater treatment project, we created special accounts that is with the LGIP, Local Government Investment Pool, and it earns us a higher interest. So we prepared for those projects several years ahead of time before the actual debt service started. So in your budget, you all approve a set amount each year that we take and put into those accounts. So something like that is absolutely doable because we already do that. And we have a reserve account for the general fund and for the water fund already. So that is absolutely workable. So now back to you.
Back to me. One of the challenges in reading through the charter and then looking at other municipalities and how they outline, and it was semantics where we're kind of talking around each other. But that's the reason we work together and we collaborate and seek additional help. The term capital budget is most frequently used for the first year of the capital improvements plan, and that's what's built into your annual budget. And because we didn't have this implemented, because we were in the discovery process, that's part of the reason for the confusion of the conversation. This is where I want to open it up to discussion. As I outlined in the email, I hope that made it clear, by the way, just for how we're looking at this. But basically, I signed off the email saying, the intent, organizationally, I do see a gap for our team in our preparation for future planning. And I gave a few examples for that. First example, when we were looking at the charter, and it states that when items are built into the capital improvement plan, those items are earmarked for 3 years until otherwise the projects get abandoned. And I use the example of our funds that we had set aside. I understand that we have budget amendments that have to occur in order to make things balanced, but I used an example of like our sidewalks a couple of years ago. I think it was 2025. We had our sidewalk improvement budget gutted because we had to fill other areas of the budget through budget amendments. Well, with the capital improvements plan, if it's on the list, based on our charter, if it's there, it's supposed to remain in place for 3 years. And that's where deferred maintenance comes into play, right? Because if we take this year's budget allotment for stuff like sidewalk improvement and we rip that away, well, we've deferred the maintenance, but we don't have a fund built up to go catch up when we can or contract it out. Another example that I used is we had issues with our public works vehicles this year. And, we had a surprise where all of a sudden, we need to pick up, how many vehicles? We were 4 vehicles. So we picked up 4 vehicles with an expense that we didn't have planned for. And we know that we have upcoming a fire truck that's not $2 million. I misspoke in a previous meeting. There's one. But you're going to need another one in the next few years, right?
15 years. We won't need another one for 15 years. We only have to have one that's within 15 years. And the others can be second out or reserve units.
Even better, because now we've got more years to plan, right?
I think they got, I'm sorry.
That's okay, but that's good news to hear though, right? Because who wants to buy two fire trucks back and back? But, so in order to better prepare for our future expenses, and not neglect or have tos. I've been using the same terminology. We've got this great comprehensive plan with a bunch of want tos that will be projects that will make our town better and stand apart. But we've got to balance that against the things that we need to do and have to do. And this is why I think the capital improvement plan is something that we should implement. And essentially, well, it was very timely that we had the BML council member handbook passed out and updated for this August. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it because it kind of outlines that. And we passed around some examples from other municipalities. Build it out, 5 years, it's projected out 5 years, it gets updated annually, and that's how we rack and stack the projects that we're going to focus on. And my position is as we're looking at a comprehensive plan that has a lot of great projects in it, we've got to be very careful not to do those projects, those fun things, at the expense of our requirements, which is why I've been discussing the capital improvements plan. So what do you think? Can we get this implemented? Is there anything we're not thinking about?
So when I look these up, and I'm going blank on my terminology, what is the plan that we've been working on that we have to have done by the end of the year?
That's like a comprehensive plan.
Okay, so a capital improvement plan is kind of like that from my understanding. We're not going to take money out, we're not moving money, we're just making another plan kind of like that, saying, hey, we're going to need to make a line item in our budget for this. And that's going to take some time to do so if we decide to do this.
And the way that it operates, so that term, capital budget, in your capital improvements plan, that's your, like the fiscal year that we're in now, that's the term that's used, is your capital budget gets implemented into this year's budget. That's where the confusion came into play last time. But yes, it will appropriately so take some some time. And then when you read into that BML handbook, part of their recommendations are that municipalities have benchmarks and requirements for how items get added to the capital improvements plan and the priority that they take. And the example of the budget that I sent out from, I can't remember the town's name, but one of the things that they had in their annual budget is they even had those similar benchmarks for items, and I think this will be important when we go into discussions on something like Gateway Park, but, okay, we know that we have two ways that we can take out loans. We can do GO bonds or we can do revenue bonds. And in that municipality, they even had a benchmark for how much GO bond debt that they're willing to take on just as a standard business operating. And for your position as the town manager, to keep us between the buoys, having those guardrails up to say, all right, we know if we're looking at the long-term financial health of the town, we're willing to go X% into debt for government bonds. And you set those parameters up so that we don't find ourselves out of sorts. And from my position for a position like yours, that would be important because it allows you to have predictability in your planning and to also ensure that you just manage effectively to keep us between the buoys. Because we get rambunctious and want to go, spend all the nights. And I think that that's a good technique. Yeah.
Any other input?
So like the University of North Carolina has, where they're in government, they have their own little section on how to do this. I've got one that they got pulled up for one of their classes. It's 169 pages. So are we gonna have to go to an outside source like we do the comprehensive plan?
I don't think we have to go to that length.
I mean, because it looks it's identical to what our comprehensive plan looks like. I mean, it's got pictures, it's got diagrams, so, I mean, I think if we're going to do this, I think we really need to sit down and have a discussion on it and see what we want it to look like and how we're gonna map it and how it's gonna be done.
I think, well, the comprehensive plan is your basis for your capital budget. So like your comprehensive plan is your big outline. And we need to look at it annually and determine the money that we're going to spend and prioritize the capital projects we're going to spend it on.
So I think if we're going to try to implement something like this, when we go into our budget work sessions starting in January, this needs to be one of those discussions to say, we need to put X amount of dollars into our capital improvement plan. And I understand, the planning commission is supposed to work with me on this, but planning commission is not going to be able to allocate funds. You all are. If you give them a pot of money to say this is your funds, they can help allocate where that goes as far as your sidewalks, your signage, that type of thing. So I think that we start as far as how do we divvy this out into everything. I think that's where it starts.
And kind of a counter, was that the University of North Carolina or was that a city?
No, it's the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill.
Okay. So the example, the peer that I pulled was the town of South Hill. And their capital improvement plan, 2630, is 3 pages. And it outlines where the funds will be pulled from, whether it's fund balance or whether it's current reserves or whether it's a debt structure. And then they just outline, it looks like an Excel sheet with 5, 6, 7 columns. And it's got the current year, funding source, and then future years. I don't know, maybe they do things differently in North Carolina, but.
Listen, so Ms. Reagan spoke, and basically she says we already have this in place.
We We do have reserve funds.
Right.
For our general fund and our water fund.
And we can move that money around, just like you said when we bought the vehicle.
Could, yes.
So I think we might be overthinking this a little bit.
So this is how I'm gathering what we're trying to do. Instead of letting those vehicles come up and kind of bite us, plan to refurbish your vehicles and get new fleet.
Well, yeah.
And then we set aside a number in our budget that she can transfer into this reserve fund. And at the end of 3 years, if that money is not spent, it's now not allocated to that specific project.
Right, and I understand that, and I think we need to understand it as a council. We don't need to go out and have to do 169 pages of new policy.
This town's it's a bigger town than ours. I think it's like triple our size. It's 3 pages. But all it is, the difference is that you're looking 5 years into the future. And for a town manager, that's a tremendous planning tool. So if we got a town that's much bigger than ours, and their plan is 3 pages long, yes, I'm sure there's all sorts of different kinds of ways to skin it. But the reason for pulling this one as an example is because, administratively, what is he our auditor or just our accountant? What do you call it, Mr. Gordon? Our auditor states, you've got the framework, you don't have to create new funds. And reading that and doing bookkeeping, anytime you start having transactions across, stuff gets dicey and your eyeballs cross, and that's not the intent. That miscommunication came from a misunderstanding of the definition of what they meant by, in our charter of capital budget. So that one's closed at this point. We don't have to discuss the creation of any new funds, creating a system of transfers. That would be a big headache, not the intent. But I do think that there's a significant amount of importance that should be placed on future planning, especially when you're dealing with a limited budget. To not have gotchas. Well, how much did we spend on those 4 vehicles, just for this example? It was
right about 200.
$200,000. And the reason we didn't have any issues with that is because we've been very conservative with our rescue funds that have been through the cycle, and now we have a significant reserve. That may not always be the case. We may have other constraints, and what I'm really trying to articulate is, based on the work on the comprehensive plan, if we go and try to execute that, you're going to use up those reserves. And I agree that there should be a rainy day fund, and we should have the Virginia Resource Authority's recommended amount in that. But if we use up those funds, if you don't have a future plan and you have gotchas like the vehicles or like a fire truck, then you're in trouble. And that makes it hard to manage when you've got pop-ups. It should all be very predictable.
And then to further reach out, maybe you plan for the vehicles, and then this year it's excessive water line issues, but you're still gonna have a vehicle issue come back, so you gotta make sure to keep that on the budget for the following year if you push it out this year. My suggestion for this is similar to what you said, Manager Reagan, is before we start, once we get this first capital improvements structure, plan, we put priorities, we kind of get the framework set up for the budget. Just about every year, we need to have, the first meeting should be the capital improvement wants, needs, and lay that out. Then you come up with your budget and see what we have free cash flow for, essentially, not free cash flow, but you know what I'm saying, to put into that. And then we adjust, as you said, right? Mm-hmm. So we're not looking for building funds, we're looking for building structure and building a procedure and I don't think that's not necessarily, I would say, I would think that this council would like to charge you with, come up with an idea of a framework of a procedure that we would like to implement going forward for that, and then we can review that prior to next year's budget. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Is everybody in agreement with that? Okay. So if you want to work with that, come back with a procedure in which we can kind of do that, and then something that we can implement for next year in our budget process. All right.
Zach, I have one question for you. What you're looking at South Hill, was that in the provision of their capital improvements plan, part of their charter, or where were they getting basically the direction and impetus to do that?
So
That comprehensive plan is statutory, so you're every 5 years.
So that's that.
So I was just curious where they claim theirs came from. I'm not trying to.
No, I think I've got the answer. I think I've got the answer for that one. And I think this is in the Virginia Code, 15.2-2239. I can say that again, if you're jotting it down. In the Virginia Code, my understanding of it, and it's been a week since I looked at it, so I have to look at it again. It's a may versus shall.
Right, I was kidding, that was going to be my next.
Yeah, I think it's a may versus shall for, like it's written in our charter.
Right. Okay.
And ultimately, I'm repeating myself at this point. Based on what I'm seeing in the future for the comprehensive plan, if you don't have something like this to counterbalance it, then I think our priorities can get out of whack. That's the reason for the importance.
Well, I was just curious where they were basing it from, that's all.
I think, and I've not read their charter, but I think from the Virginia Code, that's where that comes from.
All right. Moving on to the next item, Economic Administrative Assistant, Manager Reed.
So last year, we had placed a new position in our budget, and it was labeled Economic Assistant. So we held some interviews, and we decided we were going to change our course of direction. We have yet to fill this position, and at our last meeting, it was brought up, and myself and Susan and Jessica had a conversation, and we would like to tweak it just a little bit to become an Economic Administrative Assistant. The structure would still be 40 hours a week. It would be a full-time employee. They would mainly do the economic development. However, there might be certain items on air plates that they can help us with as well. We kind of did a breakdown of like a weekly, hour of what they would do. So like 25 hours a week they would work on economic development in the office. 5 hours a week they could work on economic development by visiting businesses out of the office. And then 10 hours a week this help myself, Susan, Jessica, and it could be things that's even tied with economic development. One of the items that we discussed was the fire department sign. We could roll out a program to businesses to be able to advertise. So this person could speak with those businesses and create an advertisement for them and place it on the sign. So the actual placement on the sign may be administrative, but they can do that. So that was what we had come up with for that. It is currently budgeted at $44,000. I would like to have consideration to have a range of 44 to 50. Because if we was to get someone that didn't have the experience, we could bring them in at a lower rate. However, if we got someone that did have experience, we'd be able to offer just a little bit more. But while still being while still keeping other employees' range in consideration too.
Keep it in the framework.
Yes.
Okay.
So that would be my recommendation, if you all would kind of allow me to have that sliding range.
Okay. Open the floor for discussion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to accept your recommendation.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to accept manager Regan's recommendation to adjust the position to economic administrative assistant and with a pay range between 44 and 50,000. Did I hear that right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any discussion?
I would only say, this position, economic development is one of those grab bags, you know? It's like, if there would be something, so I'm assuming there's gonna be a new job description, or is it gonna be the same one that was kind of posted, or?
So we built what we would like to see from that RFP that was put out. Again, the only other things was added was, administrative. So Susan and I work on finding a new business recognition. That's economic development, but it's also administration. Finding the existing business recognition. They could help Jessica as far as helping her with auditing the payment batches, like she.
From her office.
It's something that's requested of us, but sometimes she runs out of time. Update the fire department site, work on the newsletter, create a customer relation and communication system that works better for us. And they can help me with the capital improvement plan.
Awesome.
But that's kind of the job responsibilities that we had thought.
Okay. Would there be any, of course, thought process about, of course, bringing in new businesses, helping with any like buildings that we have and promoting those buildings? Okay.
Yes. Cool. So that was all listed in the RFP and in the job description as what we had previously had.
So all that's going to be there on top of?
Attraction and retention plan, monthly progress report, community economic outreach, go talk to the businesses, a database of commercial and industrial spaces, business need assessment, grant writing, marketing, attend the IUDA meeting, and work with their eBag and VEZ applications.
Any other discussion? All right, so with that, we'll go to a vote. Councilmember Tagish?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Fox?
Aye.
Councilmember Klein?
Aye.
Councilmember Willis?
Nay.
Okay. With that, vote 4-1, motion carries. Next, we have on the agenda, ratify vote regarding Iron Thuns Industrial Revitalization Fund grant application.
Didn't we do it?
Didn't we do that our last meeting?
We did during the special call meeting.
I think you did. According to Michael, I asked him about this, and he said there was. I thought there was an actual vote.
We did.
We did.
We did that in the special meeting.
Okay. So with that,
That's
look, I mean,
guys, I'm getting that coming from, because Michael.
we'll look at the minutes right here.
I think it's passed.
I go back and we.
Someone has to Gmail.
It's passed.
I think I can tell you.
Special call meeting.
They voted on a resolution for the grant application.
So it.
Two different things. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if that's the case, then we need to go ahead.
It was a-
So at our last meeting, July 14th, we needed a little bit more time to go over what had been turned in. So there was an email vote that took place. And that was actually approving that they could apply. So that is what we would be ratifying, right?
Typically,
Okay.
Yeah, if you just did it back then, it was an email type thing, that's sure.
Okay.
You can go ahead and do the ratification tonight.
So then at our July the 27th meeting, you all did a resolution for the Iron Thrones project. And that was to be included with their application. So that was the vote for that money.
Okay, so two separate issues here with the resolution of support. That was closed out in the last meeting, so we are ratifying the vote regarding the Iron Thrones Industrial Revitalization Fund Grant application. What we had on record was Councilmember Willis made a motion to approve the IRF grant application per Manager Regan. Councilmember Fox seconded the motion per Councilmember Klein. Councilmember Klein voted aye. Councilmember Hankins abstained from the vote, being that he would not be here in attendance tonight for the meeting. Councilmember Takish voted aye, pending the second from Councilmember Fox, and Councilmember King voted nay. Okay, with that, I'll open the floor to ratify the vote. When we've done that, traditionally, the council member that made the motion.
I'll make a motion to ratify the vote.
Okay, we got a motion. Councilmember Fox.
Second.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this? All right, do a roll call vote to ratify the vote regarding the Iron Thrones Industrial Revitalization Fund grant application. Councilmember Takish.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
No.
Councilmember.
Fox, aye.
Wait, hold on, let me make sure we're clarifying. We're ratifying the vote, so would it be a aye or a nay for Councilmember King to?
The same.
Same as the vote in here? Okay. I just want to
accomplish the same purpose. Right. What you're doing, you cannot do that in an email setting for purposes of dealing with the vote or not, because you're
Okay.
ratifying that vote, at least for purposes of moving forward to acknowledge it. So.
I'm just clarifying, it's not a confirmation of this vote, it is, we are officially making that vote public. Right.
For the purpose of the meeting, yes.
Okay.
However you want to look at it, how you want to define it, you're doing the same thing again, but you're doing it at a public meeting as opposed to doing it as an email vote.
Okay. All right, I just want to clarify.
I get what you're saying.
So Councilmember Fox, you said aye. Councilmember Klein? Aye. Councilmember Willis?
Aye.
All right. 4-1, motion carries.
Before we move on to the next topic, since it's discussing the Industrial Revitalization Fund, the grant alone, so we, all right, two items on it, if we could.
Sure.
The first item is, this is the second application that we've received, and it's been the last minute. They come, hey, here's the information, we need a decision by the end of the month. Can you vote on it right now? And it makes it difficult, and that's part of the reason I held it up last time. It wasn't to be obstinate or stand in the way, but we had a due diligence responsibility as council members to make sure that when we're advocating for an organization to take part in this tremendous opportunity, that these are in fact organizations that should be, one, they should be eligible, two, that there's an actual game plan, and it's something that we want to support. And this is the second occurrence where we've received the information and then we're asked to vote on it at the same time. And I don't know how we get out in front of it from an operating practice. Like, do they come 1 month prior? Do they give us their information earlier? Do we advertise this on Facebook or whatever our distribution channels are to say, you know, here's when the deadline's coming up. Here's when we need the information by. Some of us will have better information than others. Like, you know, the word's not always spread equally across council. But my question is, how do we, all right, it's happened twice. How do we prevent it from happening a third time? Any thoughts?
I just want to say it was, an awesome thing that you sat with them for how many hours to explain the whole thing?
Right,
Because,
thank you.
yeah. So, yeah, when did, so is this is a yearly window, correct? Or is this one?
So it's through the DHCD,
Okay.
and both times that I have been manager that we went through this process, they have come to us. We didn't approach them to do a project.
They being out, like the
They did.
ACD?
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, yeah.
And there is a narrow window of time that it's open. They don't give you hard start and end dates. They announce it. They give you an announcement a couple weeks ahead of it opening. But then there's a narrow gap of maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And it's
So it's
actually
a
open.
quick process.
The application, well, I went back and looked, like I went through the webinar with the folks. I think it was open up in the beginning of June. So they had 2 meetings, basically, and I don't think it's that tight in terms of the reporting window. But
to that, it's a rolling program. The program happens year over year, so if they're going to apply for it, they've got an idea to apply for it.
Yeah.
And the window doesn't have to be open for them to come to us for support for that
Yeah,
as well.
if you're doing if you're doing $1 million project, you're probably, oh yeah, in 2 weeks I'm gonna do a $1 million project, it's like, that. So I guess that would be something, maybe the economic development assistant would, yeah. So,
Right on it.
there it is. So,
But do we need to,
so do you advertise it?
that's my question, do we need to advertise it to say, for us to support it, we would like to have applications in by a certain window? Now
On your website.
or we don't even have to have their application. We want to see what projects are thinking about applying. We can cipher through that, and then we can assist them with the application.
yeah.
Maybe we try to help narrow down the projects if we put an advertisement out there. And maybe it's nothing more than a link to the DHCD's site and
And acknowledgement that you do need our approval, and then, so if you're gonna do it, you better get it done. But and then there's a process, because I think we saw, I don't think they totally understood the process. But it wasn't just us saying, yeah, go for it, you get some money. No, like, there's a whole process,
So on here, it says that it either opens late spring or early summer, just once a year. So if we put a hard deadline, if it's not in front of us by April, and that gives us 2 meetings to discuss by June, and it closes July 31st, so that would be 3 opportunities to discuss and make way if we set a hard deadline of April.
So Brad suggested we put it on our website, maybe have a little section where we have some information about that, so we can do that.
Excellent.
I think that would be good because these are big projects that you need time to digest.
Right.
Look through, do your due diligence. That's it.
Yeah, and make sure the individuals applying know the parameters of the program, what the interest rate's gonna look like, what the reporting requirements are, how it actually, how they actually receive the funds. Like, those were all conversations that, they weren't too late, but they were certainly rushed, and it'd be a good business practice to get out in front of that next year. The second part to the industrial revitalization loan is, were we scheduled to receive an update on the movie theater time?
So there is some discussion being held, and we are trying to set a meeting to discuss what that progress is right now.
Would that be IDA side or would that be our side?
So right now, myself, Susan, Brad, and Kara have a meeting where we're trying to get set up.
Who's opening up the meeting?
It's Friday.
Oh, good.
Friday.
Okay, cool.
So, right now, we have got notification that Franklin Designs, the gentleman passed away, and there was new quotes received that was over 22% higher. So at this moment, we're not sure how that's going to proceed.
Okay. Good luck Friday, thanks.
But that needs to move forward.
I agree, I would love to see that finished and have a great new opportunity for our town.
Well, either way, I mean, costs go up.
But we're also not the developer either.
But we're holding money, right?
No.
Well, it's the same grant that we're looking at here.
So the way it works, the developer has a cinema, has to expense funds and submit a monthly report, quarterly report to DHCD. Well, she submits it to Susan. Susan goes through, submits it to DHCD, and then a reimbursement is made for their portion of the funds.
When was the last time there was a disbursement of money?
In May.
In May?
That doesn't mean she hasn't done work in that time frame. That's the last time that DHCD gave us money back when we submitted for one. So she may still have expenses that she just hasn't turned over to us yet.
So we'll make sure that update gets on next month's agenda. All right. So next on the agenda, we have to ratify the vote regarding the PFAS litigation. The vote's on record. Councilmember Klein made a motion to apply for the settlement. Councilmember King seconded the motion. Councilmember Fox voted aye to join the settlement pool. Councilmember Takish voted aye. Councilmember Higgins abstained from voting on the grounds he wouldn't be here tonight.
So on this one, the email update says we're not going to be eligible to join because we don't own the water plant, only the distribution system.
One second. Councilmember Willis did vote aye as well.
Okay, that's not on that's here.
It was not emailed, but I did speak with him and he did vote aye as well. And so, yes, I received communication from Michael Thomas. Brad was out of town. Michael was handling this for us. And he received word from, what was it, Gray, something Gray.
Sure. Brad Gray, who is the Virginia sort of liaison for the class action lawsuit, and their interpretation of the settlement parameters for that the distribution system does not fall under the same eligibility criteria as the actual plant itself. Since the town does not own the plant, it was not eligible to participate as a class claimant as the owner of the distribution system only. So therefore, we did not need to, we could not be accepted into the eligibility claimant group.
With that being said, we had
Didn't
this.
make any sense to us, still doesn't make any sense to me. Because if the EPA or DEQ come down because of contamination in the actual plant, guess where they're highly likely to find contamination elsewhere in the distribution system. But again, we didn't make the rules on this one. This one where these are the rules we applied for. We thought we should get in the class. We recommended to you that you join the class. And they said we were not eligible, not just we may not be eligible. They said we were not from the jump.
So with that being said, we had the motion and the vote. We still need to ratify this vote because we made it. We were acting under that, but with that information, we're not going to.
I don't think there's from a procedural standpoint, you're now voting on a nullity. Even if you're ratifying something to do, you can't do it.
Okay.
So it's one where if you want to go ahead and ratify, knock yourself out. You can have it in the record that you've done it, but it's not going to, there's nothing you can do. We are literally unable to fulfill the motion that the council has to proceed upon, and you have that information before you, that we can't proceed. It's now part of the record that the town is not going to be eligible for that class, so a ratification really is meaningless.
Okay.
Well, you can really pull it from the agenda and not have to do anything. It's as if you didn't do anything, unless you specifically want on the record, yes, we voted if we were eligible, we wanted to be a part of it, but.
Well, it's on the record.
Got it, as much as that is, but I don't think you need to have a formal vote to ratify something that is non-existent.
I'll tell you, just
That makes sense.
for public record and for, just to make it clear, I feel like we should ratify this vote. We did have it. We should ratify it and then on the public record have a motion to pivot from that option. I think, because we were acting under this understanding. So with that, we'll ratify the vote in which Councilmember Klein, you made the motion.
Okay, make a motion that we join the PFAS litigation class action lawsuit.
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? We have a motion and a second that we join the class action litigation for the PFAS. With that, Councilmember Tagish.
Aye.
Councilmember Fox. Or Councilmember Klein.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Willis. Okay. Now, with the motion passes and carries. Now, with that, you're under that instruction, so now we entertain a motion to move on.
You don't need a motion to move forward, you can't, there's nothing to move forward on at this point. There's not, you don't have any, granted, you have basically acted on something that now you've been informed that you are ineligible. So regardless, you said, hey, let's go run this race. They said, well, the race is canceled. You don't go out and say, we're going to maybe try to run it anyway. You go ahead, it's not going to get anywhere.
Make him say no. If you tell him to make a motion to just.
If you want to, that's fine.
Abandon action regarding the PFAS litigation class action lawsuit. Make a motion that we abandon the action regarding the PFAS litigation class action lawsuit.
All right.
I second.
All right. We got a motion.
We're going to do it.
On the PFAS litigation.
We're running this race.
With that, any discussion?
They're all fires.
All right. Councilmember Tagish.
Yeah.
Councilmember King. Councilmember Fox. Councilmember Klein. Councilmember Willis. All right.
Let Councilmember Hankins know that he missed out.
That's fine. I want it on record that we're moving forward. We followed through with what we said.
The minutes are going to reflect everything I said probably too.
That's fine.
I think
too.
I think we're covered.
Flat cameras.
Next.
We're covered. We're covered.
Yes, you are. Most definitely.
Automated license plate readers, flock cameras update. Chief Lampert. Wait.
So I was speaking with Chief today. It's going to be, there's a 1-year contract for $13,500 for 3 cameras. We missed the deadline this year for the grant. It's called the HEAT grant. We can reapply for it in 2027. The grant is only for $10,000. Also, another thing with the cameras, they can only be posted on my private property. So there may be something like with an agreement, we may have to reach out and speak to do an agreement with that. As far as the cameras actually being posted, due to something with VDOT, if they, I don't want to misspeak, but it's like if they're something with funding and VDOT's with it, they won't let them be on the right of way. And where we need them, it may be within that area. But that may be something that you speak with Chief on, we speak with him, we can learn a little bit more with that.
I'll make a motion, we table this to our next meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. We got a motion and a second to table it, which we don't necessarily have to have, but I'll have discussion on
Yeah, discussion, because I think there's a miscommunication from last meeting to this meeting. You know, last meeting we discussed, you know, there are merits to any type of automated license plate reader in regards to Amber Alerts. On the other hand of that, I said, you know, there is, well, it's a persistent intelligence gathering tool that is highly controversial across municipalities throughout the country. You know, the data being abused, you know, reports of police officers using that to stalk ex-girlfriends. You know, there's news articles all over the place. These things are very controversial right now. My recommendation last meeting was that we craft language that allows the town council to have contract review and final authority over any automated license plate reader or flock camera, because that's the popular brand at the moment. Any automated license plate readers have, before they get posted within town limits, has to go through council approval. The reason for that is that gives both representation in regards to persistent surveillance within the community. So I guess Chief took that as, I want to know what the contracts look like, and we actually paused last meeting to say, that's not what I'm asking for. But I'm good with tabling it until next month. But again, my intent is not to implement these. I don't want to see them implemented. I do know that they have good purposes. However, I want language that says before they're implemented, council gets final say, because that gives our citizens representation in that decision. So.
With that, any more discussion? All right, we'll go through the vote. Councilmember Taggart. To the table.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Cox.
Aye.
Councilmember Klein.
Aye.
Councilmember Willis. Aye. All right. So, can I ask that if we have a motion and a second, that we have no flock cameras, contracts, or surveillance?
Yeah, we're
readers?
not.
If we just do a motion and a second to do that, does that carry?
You just had a motion and a second to table and
Yeah.
discussion.
Next month.
We'll have to do it next time, yeah.
So therefore, there's no further on that issue. You've tabled that issue till at the very least next month. The way I heard, what I heard.
Yeah,
Table next
that's
month.
fine. Like,
Okay. So, in a hypothetical XYZ situation, if we have a motion and a second to not implement a contract without it coming before town council, does that carry? Do we have to operate on
I think
that?
it's, the way it should be handled is that you don't have a motion at all, and then you have nothing before the council to discuss.
Yeah.
But if you actively pursue saying we are not going to do something, and you have before a motion, you vote on that, then it doesn't come before you, and I think until a motion is made to reverse that or do something different, that's what your notes are and your votes are in the record to show how you've treated a certain subject. In this case, you basically said we're not going to vote affirmatively on it tonight, we're tabling.
Okay.
That's what, and you've gotten, it sounded like I heard 5 or 6 to say yes.
Okay.
Next one. 6.
All right. So we'll move forward. New business. Budget amendments. Treasurer Hayes.
In your package, you'll see the final end of year for FY '26 proposed budget amendments. The layout's just a little bit different. You'll see each line item has an explanation as to why I chose to do that amendment. And these are divided out by department and of course by fund. Most of these are reallocations within a department, or it's showing where grant revenues were received and I had to pull those funds into the budget, or revenues that were received that were not previously budgeted.
I've got a question on the Tazewell today budget in this one, and I'm gonna pull it up. But I was curious as to why, we had allocated $70,000, I'm going on memory, I can pull it up if I need to. But it looked like the end-of-year funds were somewhere around $66,000.
I was thinking it was 56,000.
And I was wondering why we yanked the remaining funds, the organization, and slash or if we can. That's a lot of work that went into these budget amendments.
Yes.
There's like 3 pages of them. But if we agree to support this organization to this funding amount, why at this moment we're chopping that down when we had the allocation? Is that the only place that we can make this adjustment from? And a possible course of action that we could do to mitigate that, give them their full funding and pull from LGIP interest to offset that difference. Just when looking through them, that was one thing that caught my eye. Does this have control that one?
Year-to-date expenses were $56,250.
Is it page 109?
Yeah, page 109. Second block. And can I ask, how do we do that donation? Is that a flat rate donation? Do we do that donation?
I thought it was flat rate cut up in quarters. Pastor Nathan, thank you.
It is.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I shook my head. Yes, sir.
Thanks.
I'm gonna drill into it really quickly and see if anything was coded incorrectly. We've got it that we sent 4 checks quarterly of $18,750.
What was that amount again?
$18,750.
That's it,
So that's 75,000.
right? Which is
5,000
over.
I don't know if it's my place, but the last check that Tazewell received was $18,725. That amount goes to 2 weeks ago.
That was for the new fiscal year.
Right. But I mean, that's the last one we received. But before that, I haven't been doing the checks myself, so I can't speak to that. But I went back looking at the records. But I do have that information, I just don't have it on.
What do you do with that? Don't know.
What I'll do is I'll pull that amendment and I'll have to pull that from somewhere else.
Okay.
That was just an oversight. Or I used the
Well-
wrong line item.
And okay if we need to re-attack it, based on what you said, they got 5,000 over, I guess, over the, instead of 70,000, they got 75. On here, it looked like the amended budget says $62,922.30. I guess what I'm interested in is if we stated that we were gonna fund them 70,000, I'm good with them getting the full amount. And if we need to pull from somewhere else to make that happen, again, I understand and appreciate, sympathize with the amount of time that it takes to work through all these. But that was one that stuck out that I'm interested in seeing that they do get their full amount.
So with that, you said you're gonna pull and rework them.
Yeah.
Should we, maybe,
I have a recommendation, if it's okay. If we could instruct Jessica to remove that particular line item, pull it from somewhere else, drill down and find out what happened. However, these budget amendments are for the fiscal year of '26. We have auditors coming on Monday. These budget amendments need to be reflected for our auditors to review Monday.
could we get a copy and vote
Yes.
it in by the end of the week,
Yes.
Yes.
and then ratify it next month?
We could do that. You could approve with the exception of that line item and have Jessica send to you all
The
to
updated.
approve that particular amendment.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make the motion to approve the budget amendments with the exception on page 109 of our agenda packet, titled Community Development, line item and account description 001-032-4220 Tazewell Today donation, that we approve all the budget amendments with the exception of the Tazewell Today donation.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All right, we'll have a vote to approve the budget amendments with exception of the line item community development, Tazewell Today donation. And with that, I'll do Councilmember Tagish,
Aye.
Councilmember Keenan,
Aye.
Councilmember Fox,
Aye.
Councilmember Klein,
Aye.
Councilmember Willis.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Next is EMS renovations budget, Manager Regan.
I have been in communication with Robert Hilt of Rural Development, who is the overseer of funds for the EMS renovation. So Thompson and Litton had performed a preliminary architectural report for that project, and it came in at an estimated $866,000. The grant that we received is $354,000. We have agreed to put in $300,000, making it $654,000. So Rural Development is currently waiting on me to sign to say that we're going to make sure that that shortcoming is taken care of. I did not feel comfortable signing until I had confirmation from you all that if we do have a shortfall, when the bids come in, that we will see that that funding need is met. Again, these are estimated engineering figures. It could come in higher. Once we have the bid openings for construction, it could come in higher than that. It could come in lower, and we wouldn't have a shortfall of $212,000. But I do not feel comfortable putting my name on something without having your all's consent to do so.
And based off our recent track record, the bids have typically come in lower
They have.
than the preliminary engineering report.
We can go after additional grants for this project. We do have some reserve if we have to come into that. But I truly won't know what that number is until we get those bid documents and open them. And until, I have to go through this process to have a bid opening at some point. And I just did not feel comfortable without having your all's approval to do that.
The 354 is from,
Congressional direct spending.
and they finally have released it?
So they are ready to approve the project once my signature is on that paper. So I think we're kind of looking at if we don't approve it, they're not approving it. And I think we're losing the money.
But if we approve it, and then we could be in a bad spot.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're 500K into it. I mean, could you refresh my memory on how much we spent to purchase the police department? It's like,
585?
right? You know, the EMS department's a little bit different because my understanding is it's not something that we're mandated to do. It's nothing that I would ever want to get rid of because having quick access to emergency medical aid is critical. And the other thing with their department is, in looking at their department, you know, yeah, they're a little bit short, but this is the only department that we have that is pretty close to breaking even based on their billables, correct?
There was an insurance company that she said we had a backlog of,
It was Medicare.
was it about $400,000 they owed us?
Yeah.
So,
Is that all?
yeah, that's all. So if we can collect that back debt that they owe, then they will be in a better standing from where they are now.
Well, that's, I guess, in ways to think about it, right? So the ask is for like a couple $100,000 more. So that's so trivial, like it's trivial. But this is the only department that you have that's on a year-to-years, like break even. Right, in terms of what they cost or what they bill out. And it's not ran like an enterprise fund. This project, we've been waiting on this, the congressional dollars to be freed up for 3 years.
If you wait 3 more, I don't see spending $866,000 at that spot.
But ours would be 500.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. 5. I mean, look at what you did at the pavilion. I just don't like that spot for our rescue squad. We have moved past that, and we need to realize that. You know, I think when you're spending that kind of money, there's another piece of property, and to get a building built, you know, to house them, to house their ambulances, and to have their sleeping quarters.
So we did have Thompson and Litton do a PAR for a new construction as well. It was $4.6 million.
Yeah, those are not realistic numbers. I mean,
Well, if those are not realistic numbers, are these realistic numbers?
they're not.
So-
Then we would probably come in lower. And we did see that with the same conversation with the pavilion.
We did.
I think the original quote came in north of 3 million, was that right?
It was, just to do the structure was 1.2 million.
And then, I don't want to mess up the out the door price on it, but do you have that figure?
Close to $600,000.
Yeah. And that was completing all but one phase. There was 5 phases. That completed all but one phase.
And the other thing that I've taken into consideration is Mississippi's feedback that she's given us when it came terms to moving. She highlighted proximity to Dogwood Crossing. She
The location that they were already at was, the majority of their calls are along Dogwood. Or they have a large, not the majority, but a large number of calls from Dogwood.
I mean, there is an email that we all received where she said she would be interested in the Thompson and Litton building, and they could put bays off the side of it. So, I mean, she has given us another option.
Put that.
Building on Main Street?
No.
She said that.
Yeah, I would,
Can't have
that's great real
sleeping
estate.
quarters above grade.
Well, no, I'm just saying, you're talking about other options. She did send us another option, so,
Yeah.
I mean.
I don't think yeah, that is true, that is true. But I think that building is way more valuable than off the Main Street.
Well, to buy the building and then upfit, it'd have to be a whole lot more than, but whatever our cost number is.
You know, we highlighted, when we went ahead and earmarked $300,000 for this, we highlighted the table, you know, just, I think Mayor Hoops back at that time went up there and was like, like I've been on a lot of Navy ships and these conditions are pretty rough. You know, we asked the director if she wanted, can we do anything to help those? And very respectfully, she said no. Maybe I'm showing bias on this one, but just because of the length that this department has gone before upfits have occurred, and we haven't changed anything to their day-to-day living conditions, like, I want to see this one done and complete. So, I'm short of making the motion for it, but, yeah, and for me, I'm good with it if we did this.
I don't think it's gonna be as much as what Thompson said. I mean, that would be a statistical anomaly. So, you know.
I thought it'd be right across from St. Mother's,
What's that?
that building that was up for sale. I don't know if it's still up for sale or what, but that's a good location.
I did check on that. So there are some bays in the back, or at least what look like bays. Those are actually storage units. They don't have where you can like drive into them. They have like maybe a loading and unloading capability, but not where you can actually drive into them. At one time, Tazewell County EMS was at that building. And from what I gather from our staff, it was not a good location for that.
I would say if they do, when they do stay there, we do need to keep talking about that there's like a stop sign or something with the steels in Hill Street. Not as a sidebar, but anyway, but we brought that up one time, but, because there is, you know, the traffic concerns there as well on that very, very tiny residential street. So.
All right, with that, we've had quite a bit of discussion on it. I'll open the floor for a motion.
Okay. Was it $212,000 or so? All right, and we're pulling these funds. I mean, a good way to look at that would be is that you're using federal dollars that came down through COVID to make capital improvements that we need to do. So a way of thinking about it is that that money, while it is on our taxpayer dollars, but it's not being funded by locals. Is that a way to frame that?
Yeah.
And meets the intent and used for good use of spending. Because of the need for the EMS department, I'm making a motion that we amend from $300,000 coming from ARPA funds to $512,000 and proceed with the build on the EMS building.
Under the, I'll take your motion. I got a motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to amend the $300 earmarked for $300,000 earmarked for EMS renovations and change it to $512,000. Part of that discussion, I will start off by saying, although we earmark that, we will have a federal grant monies of $354,000. That is the 512,000 is a backup to the 354, right? Just want to make sure that it's clear and out there. Okay, is there any other discussion?
Okay, the other way of looking at this, it's not like they're, in a sense, they are forcing our hand, but you have congressional earmark that we've been waiting 3 years. 3 years?
It was before I was in the seat.
Yeah, this has been a long time coming, so I would encourage you all to support.
And again, maybe bids come in and we don't need it.
Right.
I don't think.
All right. Any more discussion? With that, we will vote. Councilmember Taggart.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Fox.
Aye.
Councilmember Klein.
Aye.
Councilmember Willis.
Nay.
All right, so we have 4-1, motion carries. And we will move forward with that. Next on the agenda, we have town manager project updates.
And Route 460 water arm replacement project. We have installed a little bit, waiting on a notice to proceed for the Fincastle section. We confirmed receipt last week that we did get the notice to proceed. We picked back up on that yesterday. We're still waiting for the notice to proceed to come back for the Market Street section. Once we get that, we will tie in that line and pave the road back. Yes.
Can I ask a question in reference of all this, digging and laying the lines and stuff? Is there any way in the future, near future, about the fiber optics that we can lay in there when we lay a line?
So we have a discussion going with a fiber optic company now that would like to come into town. And they have service here, but they're wanting to expand. But as far as us installing, we don't install the fiber.
No, they don't install it.
Right.
Fiber's already run to the new metal walls.
What's that?
Fiber's already run up that street to the new metal walls.
And they do run them on telephone wires.
Well, we do. I just like to see that, come in.
Well, we were contacted by a fiber optic company who's looking to expand.
The North Tazewell.
Might be something that has on the sea. I just call it out there.
The Rainy Lot, I'm sorry, any more questions on 460? Rainy Lot, so at the IEDA meeting last week, they discussed that, council had given them a sum of money. They have spent $5,275 on the preliminary architectural conceptual drawings, and they have now directed me to contact Thrasher Engineering and ask that they would begin working to address the water issues and the engineering design of that project. And they will be using the funds that council had already allocated. So, very good.
So with the architectural drawings and then now going to the engineering, and I'm going back to the sports complex days, the engineering on that one, I don't know that they're going to have enough funds to do the engineering. Do you feel good about that?
Being that this is brand new for us, working with that company, I don't know where they're at, ballpark wise, no pun intended for a park.
Okay, and then, let's go on. The follow-up to that is we've had 2 community listening sessions, right, where we reviewed the architectural drawings. Before we move, and this is process, before we move on to engineering, now we're starting to, we're getting pregnant, right? Like the way we are moving forward with this project. Do we need to have another community listening session, or are we ready to move on with engineering? Because once we go to engineering, then we're off to the grant races. And
Well, once we get, I think when we talked about the listening, I think we said, didn't we say when we get an engineering that we're going to show that? I think because of the water mitigation was such a huge deal to the people who lived around it, which totally makes sense. Weren't we gonna kind of show them that once we had it?
I wasn't able, I had a
I'm
meeting, so I wasn't here.
I think the intent was to do that,
Because that was the primary concern of everybody.
Yeah.
And we felt like this needed to be done to mitigate
Yeah,
those concerns.
with transparency of, and again, having people as much as possible involved in the process as we go, because again, this is a multi-step process, because there were some concerns about that, like, whoa, before you do anything, and we're like, oh yeah, no, totally, like, this is like step like -1 of, like the whole process. So I think that would be great to figure out, we're gonna get an engineer, and then even if somebody could come and explain it, because I'm sure it's a very highly technical drawing. So I think it was cool for that one.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think with this, the engineering cost this is essentially going to be civil engineering primarily, where we had civil plus structural engineering before. So I think, our engineering costs should be significantly reduced on this.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to see that anyway.
Yeah.
So we
Great.
also had a call with Karen Weber from DEQ about a Brownsville grant for this site. And she is very optimistic that we could qualify for that. And so that would help with environmental work, that type of thing. So as long as civil, you're also going to have environmental.
No, always
Look
put those together, yeah.
But, okay. Next on my list is mountain biking project. So we are in a season where there are some grant opportunities. We have had opportunity to apply for the Virginia Outdoor Foundation grant. This is a Preservation Trust Fund program. It's similar to the DCR program. It is to assist us with acquisition or easement costs associated with open space protections. So Susan and I were trying to look at the application and try to apply for this grant. However, they are asking things that we don't have. The acquired piece of property or easement must be dedicated in perpetuity. The easement that we have has only been temporary. The grant was due on July 11th, and I don't have anything from those landowners that says you can get to your property through air property. I can't tell them that we have to say this is public access from here on out. I don't have that authority to tell them what to do with their land. So I'm just going to be really honest, really upfront. I need some help with this. And I don't know how to navigate everything going forward with the grants that we are seeing. So we also have DCR, Department of Conservation and Recreation. They have a conservation fund, and it is for acquiring simple title or conservation and open space easement for land and recreation. The issue with that, the land or easement acquired must be protected in perpetuity. The easement we have is only temporary. This is due August the 21st, and it does have a 50-50 match required. There is another grant. It's a DCR recreation grant funding. It's due on August the 27th, but it also has the same stipulations as that. So I need some help as far as we have access as the town. We do. I can't send just a public citizen there, and they don't have that right. We do. I don't have the authority to tell a landowner, I need your land and I need you to let me have it from here on out. And it isn't one of these grants, it has to be designated for public use, like from here on out.
Both the DCR grant and the Virginia Outdoor Foundation grant require that it is a permanent easement, that it's open space.
So there's a couple of different ways that we could view it. We could ask the landowners, would you want to sell it? Sell us the portion of land. We could do that, and then we have access. And this would help us to pay for those costs. But I'm striking out on this project, and I don't like to feel that about myself, and I don't want to let you all know. But I'm struggling with this one. And we do have, Councilmember Klein said that the INVA grant that I had applied for is coming back up. So I'm very much willing to apply for that again. However, I need some help with this access.
So, yeah, it was over a year ago now that we went to the county, we went to their IEDA meeting, Miss Emily Davis, you and me, right? We went there, we made the pitch, so guys, this is an opportunity for us to collaborate on a project that will have countywide impact. And they said, let us know if you need any help. And relayed this to our county supervisor that part of the reason that we're running into problems on easements. And the land that we have is in Groton, it's out in the county. Have you reached out to the county for support on this? Guidance, recommendations, code of friend option, anything like that?
I have not, because I heard that there might be some issues with the funding from there.
What do you mean?
Like, isn't the funding coming from Thompson Charitable Foundation?
What funding?
Oh, no, I'm not on funding right now, I'm on easement. So, yes, there was funding that was also, there was, it was earmarked. Yes, it was, Thompson Charitable Foundation was for another project, that project got tabled.
Yes.
They're gonna reallocate it to us. We went calm silent because we couldn't figure out the easement. But in terms of negotiation, there's various options out there. The word, I don't like the words eminent domain, like that's not, I just don't like that as a principle. But our supervisor, tourism director, AJ Robinson, they have both stated that they are interested and ready to help. They don't know what we need help with, other than I'm saying to them, we're having a hard time getting an easement. And because of the location of the land, I think that they have tools and resources that we could bring into play. We know with the county, and even though they had, a big to-do over UTVs and the project in Wolf Creek, this aligns with a Cumberland Plateau Planning District plan for tourism within the region. So basically I see this type of project lining up with the Cumberland Plateau Planning District, it lines up with the county, it dovetails well with their project that they're looking to do at Wolf Creek, and it would be in their interest to help us with this. And they have worked, there's basically institutional knowledge there that we can tap into, and I would recommend tapping into that. I think Mr. Young's got a wealth of knowledge and can provide assistance. And if they buy into the concept that this promotes tourism results in more tax dollars, this can help your budget, then they're really likely to help us. We can demonstrate that because we can take the tourism planning guides that have been created in years past and demonstrate how this fits exactly into a regional plan. So that would be my recommendation. And I guess we miss it this go around, but until we have the easements, we can't make an investment there. And to reiterate, even if we scrap the mountain biking concept, because that's one angle, getting permanent access to our land so that future councils can plan something is an achievable win that I think we can and should want to get. So that's my recommendation. Doug Friend.
Any other discussion?
It's not worth anything if we can't get to it.
Right. But does and can I have clarification on, we have access to this, we have an easement, the road that's cut is not our cut into the land, but if we have access, what's preventing us from stopping, I'm not recommending that we cut a new road, because there's already a road there, and it makes just more sense to use the road that's already in existence. If we have to cut a new road, what's stopping the town from extending that access to members of the public legally?
What are you saying exactly?
If the town has access, does the public have access?
Yes.
It's town property.
So we could apply for these grants because we do have access as is. It's not ideal.
But it is technically access. Hold on. So, for us to get to our property right now, you're saying that the public.
The
could-
town
could
owns
use
the
what we
property.
have.
It's town property.
We're talking about the
What about
easements.
what about traveling to our property is what I'm talking
You're on
about.
public road, Steve, it's the easement.
No, it's William C. Hunter, you gotta go through his property.
No, you're going on the other way, Chris, no. There's two different access points. You've got the Hunter property, which is across one, and going across JS and AP Gillespie.
That's
You've
not
got-
access that I know of.
No, that's not correct. I went through all this with you guys in terms of showing what access you have on an old trail that's there on easement. This was litigated by the town 25, 30 years ago.
But it's not accessible by a vehicle.
It needs it, you've got a right of way.
Right.
It doesn't mean you can drive a car on it right now. Now, the other property across JS and AP and the Hunters, yes, that's different. That's, remember, guys, when you first got me involved in this, that was where we started down this path, no pun intended. But that was going across the Hunter property, because that's what the county gave them, or the Hunters gave the county for access to that upper piece for the tower or the something that they already have up there, right? And there, these are the relay station
Yes.
that's there. And then it was first approached a while ago, piggyback on that. Well, when you were saying, do we actually have access to our property? And I reported to you, yes, you do. It's on, I won't say it's parallel, but it's to the west. There's an existing right-of-way that goes off of state right-of-way, state roads, up to the town's property. It's there. Now granted, it's unimproved. That's part of the problem. It was an old logging road, an old trail road that was there probably back in the 20s. Back when the town had the reservoir, and that's where the town got its water. From there and from the Litz Spring up here on the peak. That was the whole point of having it. That's why that was obtained almost 100 years ago. It was 100 years ago.
So I guess the question would be, how much would it be to actually make that a usable road?
That's a question for somebody to go, I don't know. You have to
Does
get
it have
there.
to be a usable road to apply for these grants?
These grants would be to acquire an easement or to acquire property.
Acquiring property.
The DCR and the Virginia Outdoors Foundation, that's their intent. So in this case, if you're going to use pre-existing easements that are already in place, neither one of these would apply.
Well, yeah.
Well, the
But
only
it says it's-
possibility might be for those is if you went to, possibly to acquire property to expand your existing easement. Like if it's 10 feet, you want to make it 15 or 20. So where it is vehicular passable or ATV passable or whatever. That might be an angle that's, and I think to Susan's point, that may be a stretch. But at least that might be part of it where you are acquiring property to make your easement more user-friendly. But you've already got, please don't misunderstand, you've already got access to your property. What you were looking to pursue through JS and AP and the Hunters was access that's already cut, improved, gravel, an existing road that's there.
Then, my guess, my thought is, let's throw it out there, what would they want for permanent access? And then we can apply for these to get that, possibly. That'd be my suggestion.
Certainly helps your price point, saying, if you guys give us the permanent access, we can get a grant. I think the rolling grant for the Virginia Outdoor Foundation was $20,000. They were asking, well, I don't want to get into that. This would be more than they were asking for originally for it, like a 5-year with a small escalator percentage on it.
Because I don't think they're going to give you any permit.
So,
This is not their way of thinking.
so I would suggest, with that, would y'all be okay if we instruct Landry to pursue a permanent right of way from the JSB?
By meaning of purchase, right?
Purchase or permanent easement? Either, however, we'll see what they would be willing to accept.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is that-
and let them know what we're trying to do, yeah, like, we're trying to
Yeah, I'm still with, if it was me trying to skin this one, I would be seeing like county resources.
And I would agree with that as well.
It's like, because we know that we need permanent access to our land out there. For that to be a resource to the town of Tazewell, we have to have access to both tracts of our land. And this has been a year that,
And granted, one thing you bring that up, there are two different tracks out there that are non-contiguous, and you do not have easy access to the eastern tract. That's correct. The research I did was strictly on the western tract. The eastern tract is cut off by a piece of property that's owned by the Commonwealth that's cheated. It's a big rectangle that's roughly about 2 or 3 acres. It's very narrow, but it's one where you have no access across it at this point.
right. And the way to access that from walking is just off the road that we're trying to gain access to.
And that's going
There's a
off
walking
the
road,
road,
just,
JS and AP and Hunter properties.
yeah, it's just cut off there.
So yeah, we need to make sure there's
Right.
distinguishable pieces of property up there.
And if we're working on one, and even if we're not getting grants and moving forward with this concept, walking that back to permanent access to both tracts of our land is something that we need so that future councils can plan.
And relative to these grant opportunities, that second tract that might fit quite well into what type of box they want you to be in. You've got to acquire land to be able to access your property in whatever easement. That would probably checks those boxes a whole lot better to the property to the east than it does to the west.
Were we ever able to get contact with the Commonwealth?
Never got anywhere with them, at least they didn't follow up. I just say never got anywhere. I've had a couple of calls, left a couple of messages and got crickets for the most part. So it's going to take somebody else who knows a little bit more about the actual dealing with the steeded properties at the state level. I didn't have a good enough number when it comes down to thinking. Obviously there's somebody to talk to who can help us, but I wasn't getting anywhere with what information I was getting.
Okay. All right.
Sewer line on the low property. So I'm kind of going to bundle that one and the water drainage on Oakland property. We did meet with Thrasher. They heard where our problems were. We told them what we would like to see as far as a recommendation. We've signed a task order with them for both of these projects, and they have sent a surveyor out and are working on final recommendations for both. Stills Lane Recycling Center. So at the last meeting, we had some discussion about this site. So one of the thoughts were we were going to put an employee there to see if we could help the situation with the overflow of trash. So we did put an employee there when we could spare an employee. We found that they were turning away cars from West Virginia. They found that rental companies were using the facility to clean out apartments after a tenant leaves. The employee there seen a truck with a trailer load and stopped them, wouldn't let them dump there, and they were told, we'll just wait till you leave. Well, the employee did have to leave and then came back and every bit of it was in the dumpster.
Did they get information?
We need a clock camera there.
Yeah.
You should see the meat go out there.
Some suggestions that I have. We could send a letter to all of the property, rental property owners that say, you can't use this facility for anything other than regular bag garbage. I can do that. However, if I do it, I think I need to do it to all of them, not just single one out. We have 2 roll-off dumpsters up there, which are open top. Instead of having those, we can get closed dumpsters. We do have 2 or 3 closed dumpsters on the side there. We could replace the open top with closed top. And you can't put the large items in, it can only be bag garbage. One thought was operate at less days, less hours, that's a possibility. Change the hours to match the public works hours. So they open it at 7 o'clock, they close it at 3:30. So we need to update our signage to say, there's a limit of how many bags it will take. It does say no construction material, no hazardous waste and things like that. But there is not a bag limit on that site. And the question was asked about the parking lot. So from what I was told, it's not recommended to pave because of the weight of all the dumpsters, the trucks. So if we concrete it, the cost is $56,000. If we pave it, you would have to put a 4-inch base on, then a 2-inch cap on, and it's $38,000. So that is.
Especially in concrete.
I feel like we need, and this is my personal opinion, I'm not throwing this out there, but if there's continued abuse of this, it's terrible to punish the entire public for a few rotten apples. But if we say we were to put capped bins out there, and then we continue to get chairs and AC units and
they'll just set them to the side.
Set them to the side, and then we still have to handle them, but guess what? Now we don't have a bin to throw them in. So like if we continue to have misuse of the facilities, take it away if that's what you're going to do. And it's terrible to punish the public for that.
Well, I think it's funny because we just did away with the sticker thing.
Well, it wasn't a physical sticker.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying but maybe, so we have a service that costs, we have a trash truck that we're using extra gas, extra maintenance costs, we're running that thing ragged. We have folks who are not part of our municipality paying taxes, right? Who are coming in and doing that and causing more fun. It's all about money. It's like it costs money to run this thing. We have to make sure this is a convenience for the people who live in that area because they are paying taxes, and that's part of what they receive, the services. So I think we need to do due diligence about making sure the folks who are receiving those services are the ones who are receiving those services. So I think having it, probably the easiest thing that we can do is maybe change the hours, definitely have it manned, have somebody there. The experiment, if you will, that we did proved worthy because there was abuse happening. I think those doors need to only be open when somebody is there. Now, the time will be something that could be up for discussion or hey, we have somebody that can be there these days at these times. Okay, cool. And then let the public know that's what's happening. Does it have to be permanent? Maybe not, hopefully not. And then maybe the letters as well. But we all know letters don't usually get things done. Action gets things done.
Reference to the trash up there, I can see the issue that if you're going to bring the trash up, dump it. But if it gets to the point where it's overflowing, lock it. Lock it down until the town gets to a point where they get up there and take the trash and dump it at the landfill and bring it back.
I think
that would be a good idea because some people's going to say, wait a minute, they're going to start throwing trash on the side of the bank and everything. And it's just, I hate to see that come up in our town.
Yeah,
one problem with that is, what if, and I thought the same thing, but like, say this bin's full, or these two bins are full but I still got the cardboard that I want to throw away. So you gotta leave it open so I can go throw away cardboard. But then if you're leaving it open for me to go throw away cardboard, you're leaving it open for somebody else to come throw stuff on the side and all that. You know what I'm saying?
But like I'm saying, if you see the pins overflowing, lock it down. Usually it comes out on Friday, that's where really the loads come in. And I think we talked about the issue about having somebody go up there and check and see how much trash is in those big dumpsters. Go ahead and pick it up around two and take it up and dump it. And then,
Yeah, but the issue is not how much trash is in there. The issue is that it's being misused, especially by some individuals who don't have any business putting trash in there to begin with, or the type of trash it's.
Them dumpsters not every day.
They were getting them. If it was manned,
They are not dumped on Tuesdays.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe I saw this on social media, that the county's transfer points were closed for pretty much the whole month, right? Or they?
Baptist Valley is closed right now.
Right.
And they had temporarily relocated to the fairground. However, during the fair, they stopped that for the fair to go.
And Grafton was closed for a while too, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure on that.
But, yeah, like, that means convenience wise, if I was gonna go down there and those are closed, I'm gonna come in town, right?
So Jessica and I went yesterday, we had to go out to the park, and I said, can I make a pit stop? So I run up Stills Lane. There was a gentleman taking the bags out of his truck, putting in there. There was a truck that was full of carpet padding, just sitting there. And I said, oh, we're not letting that happen. So we went and pulled up beside the building. We were sitting, just waiting. They decided to pull off. So I like to think that having someone in there is a deterrent.
Oh, yeah. They know they're not
7 to 3
doing
is
right.
not necessarily convenience hours.
Right.
So we gotta figure out a way to open it up for more folks. I mean,
Well, even if you opened it in the morning and then closed it and then came back and then opened in the afternoon, evening, or, you know, like, there's ways to work around it.
So are we using a part-time employee for this?
No.
You have to have 2 if you open Monday through Saturday.
Right.
8 to 4.
As long as we had a full staff and they could spare a member, that's who they were sending up to the recycling center that day. So, however, if we didn't have full staff, if it was double trash truck day, they may not have the staff to send.
I say first and foremost, we send the letter.
Oh, anything else that we do, that, yeah.
Just use the water bill and put it on the back, because you can hit the household garbage is supposed to be in containers as well. We talked about that a few months ago.
Yeah.
You know, bears and all.
Yeah.
yeah, trash lady.
I mean, you could have a whole monthly newsletter on trash on the back of them.
Well, and I would almost put a little bit of discussion in it. Let people be upset that other people are messing with, because the majority of folks who use that use it correctly. And it is a blessing to have, so that you don't have to take your trash so far. That we want the citizens to have that. But we also can't have the extra cost and maintenance on our vehicles and such.
and just to add on to that, another thing we're not thinking about that. Say we close that facility, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people that don't even set trash out for pickup because we've made it a convenience for.
I don't, we take our trash because the bears.
Right. Well, and now how many people are just gonna set bags out the night before to get picked up? And then we got trash strewn everywhere because the animals are all in the trash. Like there is a no win in this situation, right? But we've got to come up with a way that we can manage this effectively at least.
All your trash is supposed to be in receptacles by your ordinance.
Yep.
Yeah, with the lid on it, bag trash with the lid on
Well,
it, yeah.
you can
But what I'm saying is we've made it because of this, there's a lot of folks that don't even have receptacles to be put out. So it's a whole domino effect of problems that we have here.
Well, the Sunnyside Apartments on Dogwood, Sunnyside 2, Karen did away with the dumpster there, and made everybody take care of their own trash. Everybody started using the convenience center
Yeah,
to get rid of the bear problem.
yeah, oh yeah, because those trash cans got, you'd have to like going down that road. But now there's trash all over that road though. There's, yeah, anyway.
So, newsletter or put it on the back of the water bill? And are you saying, and maybe it was Mr. Glenn saying that close it down for just, or open it whenever we have an employee?
I was saying, yeah, I will say that. I think again, our little experiment that we did, which was awesome, thank you. I think it proved fruitful. I think that employee had to stop some things that were happening. It wasn't like, oh yeah, I stood there and everybody just was, putting in trash and one problem. No, there were problems. And so either this is something that we're like, well, it's a suck it up kind of thing, or it's something that we have to spend some time and energy and some funds up front so that we don't have, and maybe we look at a study of, well, if this continues, what are all the negatives and then all the pros of actually shutting it down and then having somebody, because we have to, we have to pay them to be there. So is it just negate it, like, oh, well, or is it something that we really go, oh no, this is gonna save us in the long run?
So, the direction moving forward is, for the moment, is newsletter warning, I guess, more instructions on proper use of the facility, manning it for the time being 7 to 3, and look at extended hours. Is that, what's your hope? Like, what would you want from us? What do you want to authorize manpower-wise to put there?
So if we alter hours, that means I'm either going to have to hire a part-time employee, or we're going to have to lose an employee on regular shift and shift their hours to have later hours.
Because they got to clock in and out, like,
Yes.
manpower,
Yes.
getting a ride out there, all those things.
And so I do think that this has been beneficial because it hasn't been as bad.
That's what I'm saying, it's going good.
It's not as bad. So it has worked. So we will continue on with this, try it, see how it goes, and send out letters, send out on the news, on the back of the water bill, and we'll try to report back again next month if the 3:30 is working or if we need to extend a different hour. How's that?
We have a comment?
More of a question. Is there a reason why like a camera would be an option?
There is a camera there.
Okay.
That camera's not gonna stop someone from putting materials in.
Can you catch somebody who's misusing it?
There was no ordinance against it.
So Morris, I think, is there a code up there, so?
Can we make
I
one?
think that's what Chief Lambert was saying last month, was that there wasn't an ordinance to enforce. Is that correct?
Or that it's hard to enforce?
No, there's not an ordinance relative to it other than your trash pickup. There's not one dealing with your recycling center where you've got, what are you gonna charge them with?
And he said that if there's an employee there,
Heinous and unusual crimes.
he said if there's an employee there and they tell him he can't be there, then he can come deal with it.
For trespassing.
Correct. But that's the only way we can deal with it at this time.
Public can't throw trash on the ground.
You can't, I mean, but then you've gotta have somebody who's there. You've gotta have somebody who can testify to that, where you can, they have to go to court over. Because then that's, again, there's some things you can do. And you've got to have to deal with the practical enforcement of it. And there's a cost. And I think you've got to weigh those out, just like it's worked about having someone there to stop some of the problem. And if you've got others who are like, if you had a camera that could then catch with the drivers, at least with a license plate, where you could track it down, this person dumped, hanging from, or apartment, for carpet, whatever it might be, and you can then charge them for basically then literally trespassing. You can only bring certain things into here. And if you're bringing certain things that are not allowed, that's against the permission of the owner. It's a trespass, and you basically are able to charge them this stuff.
Does it, Leanne, like, when their dishwasher and stuff is in there, like, you can't just put that in a regular trash truck? Like, does it ruin will it break the trash truck? Or?
So we could do that as a special pickup,
Okay.
like a pickup truck.
Yeah.
Get it.
But I'm saying, like, if they didn't know, like, they're dumping that dumpster, you don't know what's in there necessarily. So if you had something in there and you didn't see it, and then you go to, I don't know how, I just see trash, but like, and you go to, help me out, you go to squish it, like, and it breaks the trash truck.
I mean, that is possible.
So, I mean, I'm just really trying to wrap my head around, like, how bad is this? Like, how, if we just let, it is what it is, and it's unsightly, and the bears, but like, how much do we need to, like, spend time and drill down on this, and resources, and, like, I'm just trying to figure out how big of a deal this is. Because too, again, we didn't have the physical sticker, but, there's many places that you have to have a sticker. You have to pay for at least a sticker or whatever to dump trash. And I don't want that. Like, that's not cool. But if everybody just did what they were supposed to do, and these businesses are actually, taking advantage, because if they did go dump somewhere else, they probably would have to pay. True?
Yes.
So that's a problem.
I'd like to make sure on the newsletter, can we make sure and put something about trash receptacles with lids on them for household pickup as well?
We can, and I think that was in our last newsletter as well, so yes, we will absolutely do that.
That trash can be put out at 9 p.m. the night before the regular pickup.
I'm telling you what, them bears don't.
Oh, really?
Mine's in a wooden thing.
Days out of the week, Monday through Friday.
Good person.
Well, unless it's like.
I mean, and I don't know, you guys might remember, and it might have been before most of this council was here, we had a big issue with this, that we didn't have it open enough, they wanted to open 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And, we found that it was way too much. So, there's a balance that we have to find here. I don't like 7 to 3, but I don't like trash overflowing and all that too, so.
Do full-time, part-time person, 8 to 4, Monday through Saturday, and then the other 2 days where he's not working the 32 hours a week, one of our other employees can substitute those 2 days. That would cure everything, everybody know what the hours are every day.
Let's see, the county dumps,
Landfill,
they shut down what, Saturday?
8 to 4, Monday through Saturday.
What?
Landfill's open Monday through Saturday. 8
Through Saturday?
So, then they would mirror the hours, and that would make more sense.
So, the direction for you is the newsletter and staff it, and adjust the hours as you see.
And letters to.
Make sure there's staffing there while it's open.
Yeah.
All right.
Your public works, are you fully staffed?
Probably a little bit.
I think that we have an electrician position open and a street position open.
Street position.
Like street maintenance, asphalt, brush removal.
Labor.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Manager comments are done. We have miscellaneous. We don't have anything for that. Any miscellaneous public comment? Nothing there. Mayor and council comments.
Council comments. I'd like to see in the future, reference to tiny houses. I've looked at these houses that, where, senior citizens, when you have a big house, you want to move down to a smaller house, but there's some pretty houses for 2 people. nice looking. It's like a regular house, but it's a good sturdy little tiny houses.
That's the ordinance that we went over at the planning commission last week, that Brad's gonna draft up for us.
Accessory dwelling is that what it comes under?
It's gonna become law next July 1st, so we're just getting ahead of it.
So good.
It's not technically a tiny house, but it's a small.
It's a small house, a small living house.
You can't have one of those, you can have it on a lot, but these, what he's doing is, say your house, you wanna build something out back for your mother-in-law or your.
Right.
We want to sit something out back.
No, it's gotta be on a
No,
permanent foundation.
No, the governor said,
No,
No.
the
get with the
government,
program before 27.
it's what the governor, it's what the general assembly passed.
Any other council comments?
The deck said it's not the governor.
So,
All right.
North Tazewell got mowed, they did a good job, so, yeah.
We, changed companies.
That's all I'm riding down the road, so.
Who's the company now?
Williams Tree Service. Lawn Care Tree Service.
Williams? Oh,
They're the ones that do the lake.
oh gosh, that's the one off the ring.
Keep listening to that.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I second. Somebody.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, wait, sorry.
Aye.
Councilmember Tackett.
Aye.
Councilmember King. Councilmember Fox. Councilmember Klein. Councilmember Willis.
Nay.